Captain Underpants and the bath of the wicked Wedgie woman.
Right.
She finally takes a bath. That smelly bitch. This one has action, terror, and laughs. So it's the 5th epic novel by Dav Pilkey. This is the shiny edition. Shut the fuck up. That movie's ass. Shut the fuck. Captain Underpants and the bath of the blicky bledgy blub. Albert Einstein is a smart man. The introductory comic. You're like not helping right now. You're on my phone. Go with your favorite part.
My favorite part is when she stuck her head up through the treehouse because it was so terrifying. Like the book said it would be. Definitely not disappointed. And another favorite part is when she makes cookies for everyone.
Spoiling the whole book right now. The favorite part she's talking about is this, how it just comes out of nowhere. Creepy drawing, good setup, and also where she makes cookies at the end because they turn her into a nice lady. Those cookies look pretty fire. But anyways, this starts with her being a bitch, and she's about to retire, and she makes them write all the poems, and they're actually signing it, your name here, which is pretty funny. She won't let them make their own poems, and George and Harold decided to make a comic book about her, and she gets pretty pissed about that. The kids saved the captain in this comic, by the way. Good job, kids. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, is very, very unfortunate. So Miss Ribble is mad because, I mean, come on, guys. You can't use your imaginations. Didn't you read chapter 1? They go to the office because they get sent there, and they're asked to print Friday memos, copies of those. So they change it around on her computer and fuck with everyone, and it's great. They pass him out, but Mr. Krupp signs his name on a card that Harold opened also. Because Harold thought it would be funny, and it was. Mindless conformity, it's very cool. So you guys should try that sometime. So yeah, Harold's planning something. George is about to change the letters around on the side. So he does. Miss Ribble really needs a breath mint. And he swipes the letter that Harold writes with Mr. Krupp's signature from him. And says they're not allowed to go to the retirement party because they switched around the letters on the sign. But Harold used reverse psychology because he really did want him to take it. And they're singing off key and Miss Ribble's screaming. And some kid dared to draw polka dots on his butterfly on Miss Ribble's retirement card, and he got set to stand in the corner.
Oh no.
Mr. Krupp gives her the phony card that says, "You're one hot mama," and says, "Will you marry me?"
Yes.
And the children go, "Ew." And he says, yeah, it's pretty sad. Misdemeanor is patting him, and Misanthrope is right next to him. I guess Miss Ribble says yes. She's more just like, okay. And the Freaky Wiki, George and Harold started that with their pranky wankies. Ow, you just fucking stabbed me with your naily whalies, you fucking bitch. They picked their nose on pajama day. They fucking, oh, her name's Misfit, Misguided, because she's misguided. Then we have Mr. Usworthy. He's Mr. Usworthy. Then here is Mistaken. She must be mistaken. Mr. Usworthy, he witnesses the food fight in the lunchroom and the football practice with the Boomers sing-along Purple Dragon friends. They have their game in there, their practice in there.
Throwback to the first book.
Yes, throwback to the first book. There's the bees that George and Harold makes them turn into with that memo. And now it's time for the wedding. So, you know, silly rabbi, tricks are for kids. Good joke. Will you marry him, Miss Ribble? And she goes, "No!" She jabs his finger into his shoulder and is like, "I can't marry you." And he says, "Hooray!" Or, I mean, "Oh, that's too bad." And she said, "You're a cruel, mean, and vicious man. And I respect that, but it's just, I can't marry someone with the stupidest nose." Dude. Yeah, his nose, I mean, come on.
Oh, the noses are fairly similar.
No, they aren't. Look, I can't blame her. Look at his nose compared to hers.
I mean, hers is better.
Hers is beautiful. His is so ugly. It was George and Harold's idea, said Mr. Krupp, and time to go. And they get traced by a cleated wedding boot. Miss Ribbles says she's gonna go commit a crime, a felony against 2 young boys, and knocks over the food, which the gross stuff gets launched into the crowd of elementary school goers. The pillar gets knocked over, and they have some refreshments to go with their food, their appetizers. The wedding cake topples upon Miss Ribble's head. Funny bitch, because you're dead now. Splat, and George and Harold undo their ties and run away. The next day, Miss Ribble is smiling, happy, because she got her revenge and changed their grades from B's and C's to F's and G's. What's a G? It's the only grade lower than an F, said Miss Ribble. There's no such grade as a G, said Harold. There is now, bub, said Miss Ribble. And they're gonna flunk the 4th grade. They get an idea. That 3D Hypno Brain from the first book that's been causing us so much trouble.
What?
Let's use that. Oh no, said Harold. I thought we threw that thing away, but they didn't. They just threw the instructions away. And you remember what happened the last time they used it?
You bet.
They were fooling around last time, though. So they'll be serious this time. But, as we know, the chapter was interrupted as they were hypnotizing Miss Ripple. Because they've come to give you this important message. So Chim Chim Diaper Brains, Ingrid Ashley, and, Booger Stinker Squirt, Larry, investigate or whatever, and they tell you that it has the opposite effect on a woman, so don't use it on them. As they're using it on a woman, they don't know this information, and they hypnotize her, and she's going to do the opposite. And they mention some key words like Wedgie Woman and Captain Underpants, so basically, they're fucked. And as they watch Japanese monster movies, and they get ready to go to sleep after eating unhealthy food, they look down, and there she is! And they knock her backward into, guess what? Call back again, superpower juice from the 3rd book. That bitch plops on her hair. Harold stops it, but not enough because it soaked her brain and her hair because she gets fucking tentacles on her head and then starts making robots. She's the meanest teacher of the ward, apparently, Miss Rebel has said it on the wall. And she makes robots that look like George and Harold and puts spray starch in their chests. So they walk to school, attempting to kill Captain Underpants. And of course, Mr. Krupp would substitute because Miss Rebel didn't come to school today. He gets suspicious because they haven't changed around any letters, and Robo Harold kicks a kickball into space. Right to Uranus. I wonder what could happen there. And the kickball tore right out of the top of page 101 and out the other side. Mr. Krupp pulls out the rule book. It's against the rules to kick school property into outer space. You're in big trouble now, bub. And he snaps his fingers at them because Mr. Hutchins isn't listening. And boom, he turns into the captain. And he leaps out of Mr. Krupp's window with his cape, his curtains turned around. And the Robo George and Harold are continuing after him. And they're on the news. And they're just like, oh, hi, George. Hi, Harold. You got so big, boys. And then they spray him with the starch. They put his undies on a flagpole, and they give him a wedgie. And Miss Ribble starts up some convoluted shit to kill George and Harold, the Wedgie Woman, and boom, it lands between them. So I guess they are in a lame adventure story after all. But they decided it was best not to comment on the situation. She pats her boys on the back, on the head, the cops, she gives them a wedgie, and puts them all on stop signs. The military gets involved as they try and kill this woman with a crazy hairdo and her robots. And Captain Underpants is hanging from the pole, and he thinks he can't help because he's got spray starch in his underwear, so hey, let's go get fabric softener. What's that store called? Everything except fabric softener. They start making a comic book so that they can use the placenta effect. And they throw it to him. It's the Captain Underpants origin story! He's basically Superman, but it's Captain Underpants, and he gets stretched to birth. And he only wears underpants. Little baby underpants. They named him after their favorite cereal, Captain Crunch. All he has to do to free himself from the evils of starch to protect himself is say, I summon the power of Underpanty World. So now that they've established this, Mr. Krupp, Captain Underpants, thinks that now he can do it and be free. And he says the words finally, and he gets up off the pole because placenta. Fists get thrown at him, but he takes him back and decides to commit some violence. Flip-o-rama. We told you not to progress. Give yourself some spankings, motherfucker. You know, I didn't listen to them, and here's the violent chapter. But nope, he's horribly hurting her. The Herald 2000, he's poking evil in the eye. Boom. Wink. They're putting their heads together, and the super smashy cyber slam. So he beats the fuck out of those robots. Meanwhile, George and Harold think up a plan, mostly George. He brings in cans of extra strength starch and starts spraying it at everything. Little did she know, these pages are incredibly easy to draw. They're all bald! It was hair remover! The fucking stupid bitch. Captain Underpants is happy because he never had any hair in the first place. Harold's terrified because he has no hair left. And George is happy because he doesn't care. His hair was only half an inch thick. And so she's off to jail. Not really, because George and Harold, that's their teacher. That's their fault, I guess. They hypnotize her into being a nice person, but they do the opposite of what they want. So they use reverse psychology, and they have her bake fresh chocolate chip cookies every day. She's nice now. And it's a good thing because now she'll be happy. She'll live longer. This is how to make comics. She made cookies. And they're wearing hats because they lost all their hair. And she's wearing a wig from Molly's Wig World. Were these cookies hard to make? No, dear. They were a snap. Tra-la-la, oh no, here we go again. And they're sorry that if you didn't punish the instructions on page 137 and you had to punish yourself, please send a self-addressed stamped business-size envelope to Ouchies. I gave myself 11 spankings and a timeout. Send me something fun. They'll send you something fun. All right, Aubrey, what do you rate this book?
I rate it.
Last one you gave it 9.4, the third one you gave it 9.8, right?
I give it a 9.7.
Oh, you gave it a 9.7?
I give this a 9.7.
You give this a 9.7? You think it's worse than the third book?
Yeah, by a point. By 0 points.
Okay, so they're on the same level.
Yeah.
By 0 points?
No, they're on 9.
They're both on 9?
No. What did I say?
I don't know.
No, my other ones. I give this one 9.8.
9.8.
No, 9.6.
9.6. That's worse than Poopy Pants. That got a 9.7 from you.
Oh, the 9.8.
Oh, wait, no, you got a 9.4 for that, right?
Yeah.
You gotta look at these scores after this shit.
What's your score, Andrew?
For this book,
Yes.
this is not... Oh. Fuck. I really like this book, actually. Fuck me. What did I give the last one? 9.1?
I have no clue. Yeah, I think so.
No, I gave it like a 8.9. Oh, this is so tough. Stop!
What do you rate it?
I think I rate it. Stop! Dude, I really like this book.
Okay, then what do you rate it?
I give it a 9.1.
Damn. Boo.
You're giving these books way too high of ratings right now.
Why?
Because what if you get a book higher than that one?
It's not.
What if you... Dude.